All right, welcome to the quadruple D. Now, I was hoping to do this in one take, but you know, in addition to having a cold that has made my voice sore here and there, I also can't talk worth a good goddamn half the time. So, this is take two. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about the widening war in the Middle East and a little bit about the history of Iran. And this may end up being a two-part episode because I do have a cold and I might need to give my voice a break. But anyway, a widening war in the Middle East is sending economic and military shockwaves well beyond the region. Qatar's state energy firm has halted liquefied natural gas production after an Iranian strike on one of its facilities. Qatar is one of the world's largest LNG exporters, supplying major markets in Europe and Asia. Any sustained disruption tightens global energy markets and can drive up prices. Airspace closures across parts of the Middle East have also forced airlines to cancel or reroute their flights, compounding instability. So, yes, we are living in some unstable times. Or is it instable? It's funny. But anyway, military tensions are escalating on several fronts. Israel and Hezbollah, the Lebanese armed movement and political party backed by Iran, are exchanging fire, raising fears of a broader regional confrontation. Explosions have been heard in Gulf cities, including Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Doha. Meanwhile, the U.S. military confirmed that three American fighter jets were accidentally shot down by Kuwaiti air defenses in what officials described as a friendly fire incident. All crew members survived and are in stable condition. Such incidents, however, demonstrate the volatility of crowded airspace and overlapping military operations in the Gulf, where U.S. forces have maintained a heavy presence since the 1991 Gulf War. And in Washington, rhetoric has sharpened. President Donald Trump told CNN's Jake Tapper that a big wave in the war with Iran is still to come. He claimed Tehran ignored U.S. warnings about its nuclear program and refused to rule out deploying American ground troops if he deemed it necessary. Now, I do want you to note the irony here of the U.S. telling another country not to have nuclear weapons. Why is that ironic? Why is that a bit hypocritical and strange? Well, as very few people seem to point out, even people on the left, it's not mentioned very often, but the United States is the only country in world history to have dropped nuclear weapons on another country. So it's a little bit hypocritical for us to go around finger wagging at any other country for allegedly or really having nuclear weapons. That's maybe we shouldn't be the ones to do that. Maybe it should be a country that either doesn't have nukes or, dare I say, was maybe nuked by another country. Like maybe if Japan went around, telling other countries not to have nuclear weapons. I mean, it would still be a weird uh, thing in the world, right? You wouldn't want to have to go around, trying to police the globe. But nevertheless, if a country was going to do that, it should be a country like Japan or a country that doesn't have nuclear weapons or something like that. Not a country that is, you know, basically in the I dropped a nuclear bomb on another country club. I was trying to think of a creative way to word that, but that's the best thing that I could come up with. But anyway, the United States withdrew from the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, known as the Iran nuclear deal, during Trump's first term. That agreement, negotiated between Iran and world powers including the US, Russia, China, the UK, France, and Germany, placed limits on Iran's uranium enrichment in exchange for sanctions relief. After the US exit in 2018, Iran gradually expanded its enrichment activities beyond the deal's limits, according to international inspectors. So the war Crimes Secretary Pete Hegseth, or as Kyle Kulinski calls him, Pete Kegsbreath. Anyway, he struck a contradictory tone when briefing reporters. He encouraged Iranians, I should say, to take advantage of what he framed as an opportunity for regime change, even while insisting the war was not about overthrowing Tehran's government. So he's kind of trying to have it both ways there. And of course, calls for regime change echo past U.S. interventions, from the 1953 CIA backed coup that removed Iran's elected Prime Minister Mossadegh to the 2003 invasion of Iraq. These interventions, they remind you of the competition between states for power and control rather than any concern for ordinary people, because they never seem to care about all the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people whose lives get chewed up by these competing regimes. So, historically, regime change operations have often led to prolonged instability and civilian suffering, and that's already underway. And inside Iran, state media reported large demonstrations in Tehran following the death of Ayatollah Khamenei. He had served as Iran's supreme leader since 1989, and I'm going to do a little bit of a biography of him in the next section, the next recording I do here. And I will also get into some more about Iran's history, and I'll look at how it actually verifies a lot of, far left talking points, anarchic talking points, if you will. But anyway, the Ayatollah had served as Iran's supreme leader since 1989, holding ultimate authority over the military, judiciary, and state broadcasting. So he was a dictator. The Islamic Republic of Iran broadcasting network aired images of crowds chanting against the US and Israel. And gee, I wonder why they would do that. It's not like those countries are attacking them or anything. And the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, a powerful branch of Iran's armed forces, founded after the 1979 revolution, declared that the loss of its leader and other officials would strengthen rather than weaken the country, which actually seems to be true. And Israel is, of course, committing war crimes, and you might say that the entire operation is bound to provoke a lot of anger and outrage, and a lot of bad things are going to happen. The IRGC controls significant economic assets and oversees Iran's missile program, making it a central actor in any confrontation. Iranian officials have warned that their enemies will not be safe even inside their own homes, signaling possible covert and retaliatory actions. Such threats mirror long-standing patterns of asymmetric warfare in the region, including cyber operations and proxy conflicts. So we've got those to look forward to as well. I mean, some of those are already underway, but they're probably being underreported in the media. In the United States, Republican voters in Texas are weighing these developments just before a primary election. Public opinion in the U.S. has often shifted during foreign conflicts, but wars in the Middle East over the past 2 decades have cost trillions of dollars and resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths, and that's according to academic estimates such as those from Brown University's Costs of War project. The lesson here is consistent. State led wars concentrate power, suppress dissent, and burden working people at home and abroad, while political leaders frame escalation as a necessity. As tensions rise, the risk is not only military escalation, but deeper entrenchment of authoritarian measures on all sides. Ordinary people in Iran, Israel, the Gulf states, and the United States are likely to bear the consequences of decisions made by governments seeking what they consider to be strategic advantage. You know, it's a little bit crazy that people can't just, you know, live peacefully with each other. It's almost like these authoritarians actually get off. They get excited about sadistic violence and the power that they have over populations. It's almost like these leaders are no good. Anyway, I will be recording at least a part two, maybe a part three, depending on how my voice is and how well I can talk, in general, because it's not just the cold that's a problem. It's me like bungling sentences here and there. So there's going to be a part two either later tonight or sometime later on this week, possibly tomorrow, possibly I don't know, Friday. We'll see. Anyway, hopefully you show up for the part two and check out the other content as well. All right, have a good day. Until then. Well, after then as well, I suppose.